Hello and welcome to the first live chat of 2015 with me. My name is Bethany. I'm the founder of Fit2B.com and the instructor that you see the most on most of our workouts. You will also occasionally see Kelly, and I'll be talking about her a little bit later. I am really excited to see how this chat goes because this is a new platform for me. I know I'm late to the whole Google Hangouts thing. We were using Screencast, but that didn't work out very well for us on an ongoing basis. So we're giving this a try. And what is cool about this is it's automatically recording this and it's going to put it on YouTube later on our Fit2B channel. And our Fit2B channel has a couple other videos that are great to share about Fit2B and what we do. And this also has a couple of perks in it that our other Spreecast platform didn't have. So I'm asking for your patience as I get used to using this today. I do believe there's ways for you to submit questions. I am not, oh, yep. If you float your mouse over to your left, you'll see a little button that says Q&A. And you can, I believe, click that. You can also ask to share your camera, and it will show me you doing that, and then I can add you. So this is just a time for our members, and today non-members, because I'm still figuring out how to set the privacy, so we're inviting other people in as well, to ask me questions about your fitness and your journey of healing your diastasis recti, any pelvic floor problems you might have. And it's just a nice way to connect in real time and let you know that I am a real person. This is my farm. Ooh, the sun's coming out. And I'm looking out my window. I've got my daughter's pony out in the field and our friend's horse, 2 boards here, and then I've got goats in a different field. We live on 7 acres in rural Southwest Washington, and I just love it. I'm wearing a scarf sent to me by a member last week for my birthday. So nice. Thank you, Christine. I hope you get to see this. I wore it because I knew you were going to be on here. You said you were, so I was like, I'm going to wear it. Make sure she sees it because I just love it. She made it just for me. So I just love getting things. I'm also wearing my Tummy Team hat. The Tummy Team is one of the most frequent referrals by me for people who need further ongoing core rehab. You can find links to the Tummy Team all over Fit2B. She's also part of our Experts on Diastasis Recti course, and she is just amazing. And she happens to be local to me, which is how I met her, but people fly in from all over. Other professionals take her certifications online, and I really adore her and the work that she does. And she gave me one of her hats so I could wear it. And she does sell these on her shop. Kind of fun. So anyways, this is a time for you to ask questions. And again, you can float your mouse over to the left of this screen, I believe, and it should show you a little Q&A tab and some other tabs that you can use. If you can't hear me, please let me know. I'm not quite sure where you would see that. It's also, it says be part of the conversation, and you can click on that. But I'm sure if somebody does ask a question, it'll give me a chance to take a peek at that. Over to my right, you should be seeing a showcase, although I'm not seeing it when I look on the page for Fit2B. So maybe it's not showing you that. Let me play with that just a little bit and see if I can get it to come up. No, it's saying it's showing it to you, but I'm not seeing it when I look at your screen. So I'm going to be asking for some feedback when this is all over so that I know how it went for you. While I have you and before anybody else is asking questions, I want to talk a little bit about one question that we got this morning in our forum, which was a member asking about her daughter, who is a swimmer, and how she often gets a lot of water up inside her body when she's swimming, and is that normal? And I end up sharing an article by Katie Bowman of Aligned and Well, and I really like her work. Let me see if I can pull that up again. And she talks about how as women, our systems, some of our holes are designed to close completely, and others don't close completely. And our vaginas are one that doesn't close completely all the time. And so it is an open system, and it is normal for that to happen, for water to go up in there, like if you're just taking a long bath, if you are swimming for a long time, what's not normal is any type of air flow, because that means some of your hydraulics are not quite right. And I'm gonna go ahead and just post this, and hopefully it'll show for you. And what I am showing up as a showcase on the right side. So hopefully you can see that. If not, let me know. Again, I'm not sure where where I'm looking for questions you guys might be submitting, but I do invite you to submit questions. So back to the whole pelvic floor thing. I'm just jumping right into that today. Your core and pelvic floor are very related. If your pelvic floor is very, very weak, and if you are sucking in air, then it creates a hydraulic effect that's going to pull air up into your little special places, and then that air can come out at very inopportune times and be very embarrassing. Water is going to kind of go back and forth anyways, and we don't want to develop a hypertonic pelvic floor that is too tight, okay, because that causes other problems. But we do want to have a strong pelvic floor. And another thing this mom was asking is, well, if she wears a tampon, it seems like it just wants to fall out. Well, the weight of water, like a fully soaked tampon, is going to be pretty heavy. And so it's going to eventually kind of slip out as it gets full. And a tampon's not necessarily for that purpose anyways. It's you're supposed to change them frequently. They're not necessarily supposed to get completely saturated. So it's not necessarily a sign of a bad pelvic floor that's happening, but there's never a reason to not learn how to engage the pelvic floor. And her teenage daughter's a great age to learn some of this stuff. So it would not hurt her to learn how to do some pelvic floor work, and it would in fact really benefit her to do that. I really wish that in our public schools, where sex ed is taught, that perhaps things like core and pelvic floor strength would be taught instead of or alongside all the other stuff. Because if you teach a young girl about what is really going on with her cycles and how her pelvic floor works and how to chart things, you're gonna equip her for a lifetime of better core and pelvic floor health, as opposed to just teaching her how to protect herself against STDs. There's a lot more to our sexual health than just protection. It's about education. So anyways, that's my mini rant for this time. I just kind of launched right into that topic. Those of you that are new to the live chats, you now know that I don't beat around the bush. But I do try to keep things kosher and delicate and not be too crass, or refer to things as they're called, or I refer to them more delicately. Not ever going to use crass terms. Anybody is welcome to use whatever terms they want to. I don't bat an eyelash. This business, you cannot be shocked by anything, because there's a lot going on with women and their systems, and there's a lot of hurting people out there. And I'm really passionate about trying to help you and connect you with resources. So I would love, again, to get any questions from you. I am not sure. Let's see, Q&A. Oh, it's saying the feature is disabled. Well, I'll have to look into that. So if you do have questions for me, I'm going to open up on my end, just in our Facebook page. And if you have questions that you have, then go ahead and post them here in our Facebook forum. It's always hard to talk and type at the same time. Another quick announcement about Fit2B, and that's often what these live chats end up being as well, is that our DVD is now live on Amazon. If you go to Amazon.com and you type in Fit2B Firm, 2 words, Fit2B, F-I-T, the number 2, the letter B, and then Firm and DVD, you should be able to find it. And Amazon does these random sales. I have nothing to do with them. We did ourselves have a sale, and we purposely brought the price down over the last couple of weeks for my birthday and for our 5-year anniversary of filming. But they also do little discounts on their own based on their own little algorithm. So you always want to watch that and see if things are on sale. we came out with a DVD because we have members with really bad internet that want to do our workouts but can't, or maybe they only have limited amount of internet access every month. You know, they get the 2 gigabytes, and so they can't just stream all of our workouts. So the DVD is a really good option, and we are planning on coming out with a couple more of those throughout this year, and then on into next year, we'll keep putting out a couple at a time here and there. And then another thing that's coming up is the Ultimate Bundle group. We are part of the Ultimate Homemakers Bundle that is going to be live at the end of April. Actually, the 20th, I think the 20th through the 27th is the dates for that. And we have one of our products in there that is bundled up with a bunch of other stuff, and you're going to pay one little price and you get like over $1,000 worth of stuff. And one of our things is part of that stuff. So lots of fun, and it's really a big honor to be a part of that. Christine, who made me this lovely scarf, she's over in our Facebook forum going, is anybody on the chat? Are you able to post questions and talk? I don't see anything that would allow me to do that. I'm so sorry. I don't really understand. I wonder if maybe you guys came over to the actual event. There's a little link above the video. If you're watching this on Fit2B, there's a little link that says go here if it's not working. And I wonder if you go there, if there, then you can post your question there. And Christine's like, oh, I don't really have any questions. I just wanted you to know that you were awesome, and I was there, and thank you for wearing my scarf. You're welcome. Nora is asking on our Facebook forum about splinting during pregnancy. And I am going to shut that down. Splinting during pregnancy. There's a lot to that. I'll do my best to answer kind of that broad question. I've covered it in some of our old chats, but we don't have those up anymore. We are turning those into an e-course. I also cover splinting during pregnancy on our pregnancy Q&A page and our splinting page, both of which are under diastasis awareness on the main site. So there's quite a bit of information there. But just so you can get it from me live, splinting or binding or wrapping, those terms are used interchangeably. They are different. We don't want you to use anything that's going to compress your belly, okay? We want to use something that's going to support your belly, okay? Support and lift up and hold the baby and hold you in a good spot that's optimal for fetal positioning so you have a better birth, and optimal for minimizing the width of your diastases. Very, very rare for women to not get diastasis in pregnancy, but we know that we can minimize how wide it gets through good support and proper exercise and alignment. Those are huge. They're big, big players. And we don't recommend that you splint your tummy or use a wrap, and we recommend a couple on the splinting page until your diastasis is getting wider than about a 2 finger, 2 centimeters. Everybody's fingers are usually about 1 centimeter wide, usually. So if you feel like your diastasis is wider than about a 2 and that your fascia is kind of starting to thin out, it's not thick and you can really feel things through it, it's time for some support. Women get to that point at different points in their pregnancy. Those who have a good core connection, a lot of times they can get away with not splinting until well into their 3rd trimester, whereas other women that have more connective tissue issues, and those can be hereditary, and they can be related to lots of vomiting in that 1st trimester, low energy in that 1st trimester, low nutrition in that 1st trimester. You're going to see that gap widening a lot faster because your fascia is just not getting the sustenance that it needs, right? Does that make sense? So, you know, and that's not your fault, okay? I see a lot of posts from women that are like, oh, I've done everything I can, but I was so sick, and then my diastasis is open, and I'm hosed. And I'm just gonna have this huge diastasis, and I'm just a failure. And no, you're not a failure. You're pregnant. Your body's working, and your abs are designed to spread apart and stretch during pregnancy, and that's a beautiful thing. But we are seeing an epidemic of much wider diastases than necessary. Okay, your abs don't need to open up as much as they are, but they are opening up more because we are doing things during pregnancy or during our daily life that is exacerbating the problem, making it much, much worse than it has to be, okay? You know, I like to see diastases not get much wider than a 3 or a 4 at the very end of a pregnancy, and, you know, not super thin. But that is not very common in women who don't have the information about their core that they need, women who don't splint and support their bellies, and women who are not aligning correctly during pregnancy, and women who are not feeding themselves well. They're not feeding themselves things that feed their fascia, okay? Fascia depends on your mechanics and your chemistry. So your hormones and what you're eating and your moods, all of that plays into what's happening in your fascia, okay? So we need to educate women and give them the tools so that they can keep that diastasis as narrow as possible during pregnancy. It doesn't hurt the baby to have more support. A belly that is pendulous and falling forward because of an extraordinarily wide diastasis, that baby, it has to make a severe right-hand turn to drop and come out. And that's why, you know, we have a lot of doctors wanting women to give birth on their backs because they're trying to get that baby in a position to come out. But that causes other problems, right? So we want the body to work with birth, and the abs are a big sister to that uterus. Uteruses that don't have good core support often need some splinting support. I've seen some really cool things done with rebozos during birth, where if you have a doula or a birth partner that can kind of make that rebozo into a hammock, and a woman that's on her hands and knees or in a squatting position, they can kind of gently pull back on that rebozo to assist each contraction and getting the belly to empty its contents. Contents being a baby, very important to get the baby out in a good position to minimize tearing, minimize discomfort, maximize the effect of pushing and the effect of those contractions. It's just so vital. So I could go on about the role that splinting plays, but what I don't want is necessarily like every woman to start splinting as soon as she gets pregnant. The only cause and purpose behind doing that would be if you've got a mama who's early pregnant and dealing with some severe anxiety and depression, really feeling very manic. Splinting the belly can instantly help her feel more stable. Kelly Dean of the Tummy Team has done some case studies on this and has read some other people's case studies on this. There's a lot going on in our core in terms of emotions, in terms of gut health, in terms of feeling freaked out. You know, we get butterflies in our belly when we're nervous. We don't feel like eating when we're upset. All of that is connected to a good reason to splint when there is depression and anxiety going on. But a splint is not forever, okay? And it should never be done on its own. It should always be in concert with those good exercises that train your natural corset, your transverse abs, your God-given girdle that wraps all the way around your body to do its job, okay? We don't want your transverse to say, oh, she's splinting. We can go on vacation now. We want to splint and then tell the transverse, hey, this is what you're supposed to do. You feel that? You feel that? You feel that support? You're supposed to be doing that. Now here's how you're supposed to be doing that. Now you do it. So yeah, it's the difference between giving a person a fish and teaching them to fish. The splint is the fish, but the fish is not going to last. The splint is going to wear out. So we need to teach your transverse to fish, and I talk about that on the splinting page. Okay, I'm going to check back over here. Okay, hopefully, Nora, I helped answer your question. Christine, she says, I do have a question. The mermaid, are you supposed to have both your sits bones on the ground, or is that not the goal, or is it bad? So your sits bones are the bony bones in the bottom of your bum. Say that 10 times fast. And, you know, if a little kid sits on your lap and they've got really bony buns and they dig into your thigh and you're like, ow, those are the bones I'm talking about. We want to sit up on those bones. Everybody do that. Sit up so you're on your sits bones. You're not arching forward and you're not slumping back. You're right on those sits bones, okay? There are different positions that I put you in on Fit2B that will take your sits bones off center. And then it's the job of your core to elongate the rest of your body. So in the mermaid, it's taught by different Pilates professionals in kind of different ways. If I force my sits bones down, it hurts me. I have got an old groin injury and it just won't go. So there's some tightness there. And so a lot of people, when they're in that mermaid position, they don't match. If I change my leg position, I can get my sits bones down. If I fold my legs up more, my sits bones comes up. It's not really so much about what's happening in your sits bones as it is about where your body is aligned in this frontal plane. I really hope I said that right. When I was in college getting my degree in exercise and sports science, the planes always boggled my brain. Like I'm a visual person, and so I'm this plane, the plane that is the side of your body. So even if your hips are kind of cockeyed this way, what's happening in your core is what matters. So part of core training is taking, like, in advanced motions, as we start going beyond what we call the F5 on Fit2B, the foundational 5, where everything is very linear, everything is very lined up. Well, once your core knows how to work in a very lined up situation, what happens if we test that a little bit? What happens if we tilt one part of it, and now we ask the rest of your core to stay long and lean and lifted, and we ask your arms and legs to move around that, because that's life, right? You learn the basics, and then you change something, because you're not always going to have time. You know, when you're sitting and your kid does something they shouldn't do that's going to kill them, you're not necessarily going to have time to think, oh, I need to align my bones and be neutral and totally stiff and still through my core. You're going to be like, I'm going to get my kid. And you might only be able to get one or two pieces of your alignment in place as you're in midair flying towards your child. Right? Can you tell I'm a mom too? I have got no mellow children. I've got 2 daredevils. I don't know where they get that from. Can't imagine. Who were constantly trying to kill themselves for the first 3 years of their life. So the lurch, as I call it, where you're lurching to catch your kid at least 52 times a day. Yeah. So training the body and saying, okay, we're going to sit with our feet off to the side and then move around that and learn how to breathe and engage around that, because that is life. And I am not training you to walk like a robot. I am training you for life. And so it's not bad, it's good, but at different stages and whatnot, yeah, at different stages and whatnot, there's a time to be aligned and there's a time to learn how to engage your core when you're not aligned. And it's also the stretch. The mermaid, having your feet in that position with your sits bones up a little bit, it just creates a different type of stretch, which is really more what we ask for. Okay, I have a question from Janae. And thank you, Chris Church, for that little thing about the Q&A must be turned on. And I did look at that. I could swear I did, and I did turn it on. So I'm not sure. I must have turned it on in one spot and not turned it on in another spot. It's really not as user-friendly as Spreecast was. And Spreecast wasn't even that user-friendly. So I'm going to have to play with this. We're getting the hang of it. Okay, live chat question from Janae. I just found out I'm pregnant. Congratulations. Will it be okay to use the foundational 5 throughout my pregnancy, or should I just stick with the prenatal workout section? So the foundational 5 is linked in the prenatal workout section on Fit2B. You said I mainly use Roku to do my workouts, and we finally got a hold of our developer who was missing in action for a while. And he had some weird reason for why he hadn't got back to us. I don't know what the deal was. But we are updating all of those sections. We're reorganizing section because that's how it is on Fit2B. Those F5 workouts, I designed them and filmed them specifically with all workout levels and abilities, including pregnant women, in mind. There's maybe one thing in the Align It Flat video where I have you on hands and knees, where when you're in your late second, early third trimester, you might not want to do that one, because being on hands and knees can and knees, pelvic tilting can be really useful in getting a baby into the right position. So it's that give and take of, well, if you've done everything you can to minimize your diastases and you need to get baby into position, it's more important to get baby into position and maybe let your diastases open up a smidge more because you want a healthy birth and a healthy baby. And because you know you can close your diastases. That's the beauty of all this. You don't need to be afraid of undoing or opening up a little bit because life happens, because you have the tools and the ability and the know-how and the splint if you need it to go back in and re-support and reclose. And when you're done with your childbearing years, okay, you're done nursing, you're gonna leave that part of your life behind, and you don't wanna regret missing out on some nursing, missing out on some baby positioning that would have helped your birth just for the sake of your diastases, okay? The diastases, again, it's temporary, and we know now how to fix it, and it's gonna get fixed. So don't worry about it too much. Do what you're supposed to do, and it will stay in a manageable width. We'll take care of it for you. You'll take care of it. You'll know what you need to do. And one more thing for pregnant women, please, if you're writing a birth plan, please, add into it, and I recommend every woman do a birth plan, even if it's just, I want the lights down low, I want my own music, and I want to wear my own nightgown, and I want delayed cord clamping. You know, whatever, just even if it's just something short and simple. But write down what you want. It's good for you to do the research. It's good for you to take that to your doctor or your OB or your midwife or whoever and say, this is what I want. Because it puts you more in control of your birth. It gives you ownership and it gives you power, okay? Now, everything might go sideways, okay? But you at least go into that birth knowing that you did everything you could and you're educated and you're strong. So again, back to what I want you to put in your birth plan. I want you to put in your birth plan that you don't want to leave the hospital without a splint. You make that hospital give you a belly wrap, a binder, whatever they call it, okay? And you might get a couple hospitals saying, oh no, well, we don't provide those. And then you say, oh, okay, well then I want a prescription for one. And I want a prescription for abdominal rehab. So it's actually two things. Before you leave the hospital, you ask for a prescription for abdominal rehab, because that way, even if your insurance doesn't cover abdominal rehab, which there's a lot out there who still see diastases as an aesthetic thing. Oh, that's what happens to all women that have babies. That's just a pooch. You're just going to have that because you have babies. Well, you can fix that with the optional surgery for 10 grand or 7 grand or 15 grand. But you know, that's just aesthetic, and you're just going to fall apart. You just need to deal with it. Oh my gosh, those people make me so angry. But that is the reality. We're still dealing with that. Okay, word is slowly getting out. But sadly, a lot of people still see core issues that way, that you're just supposed to suck it up. So you have to be proactive and say, I want a prescription for this. I'm going to need ad rehab. And the thing is, they cannot deny you that. And if they do, you need to talk to a lawyer. Because I'm feeling kind of feisty about this, but if somebody asks for rehab and they say, I feel like something inside me is coming apart, I need rehab, I know I have diastasis recti, they can't deny you that, because then it becomes a liability for them, okay? So then you can take that rehab to a local physical therapist, and even if your insurance said, oh, but we don't cover that, then they have to cover it because you had a prescription for it, okay? Because you're not just walking into that physical therapist anymore and saying, I need help. You actually have a prescription for it. So now it's going to be covered. And you might have to go back and forth a little bit, but you're worth it. You're worth spending a half hour on the phone with your insurance company saying, no, you're going to cover this. I have a prescription for it. I found a reputable physical therapist. You're going to cover this because I need this. My doctor said I needed it. So there, yes. Something I've noticed about women who have core issues is that a lot of us, so I am with you on this, I have had diastases. A lot of us, not all, but a lot, tend to be a little hesitant about our health and really going after taking care of our own health. We have been told so much that what we're dealing with is normal and that we just need to suck it up and that that's just part of it, that we're kind of like, oh, okay, well, all right, well, I guess I'm just supposed to deal with it. I guess this is just part of my sacrifice of motherhood. You know, I love my kids and I would do anything for them. And, you know, I've already let my body, you know, go through pregnancy and birth and all of that marathon and torture. You know, what's one more thing? You know, what's my belly? You know, my kids are worth it. Yeah, your kids are. Okay, I would let somebody run a knife through my stomach if it meant saving the lives of my children. But the lives of your children are not at stake. Really, right now, look at them wherever they're at, they're probably fine. And the only thing that your broken belly is costing them is a strong mom. I'm so sorry, I know that comes out harsh. I've been there. Mommy, jump on the trampoline. No, no, no. Mommy, go for a bike ride. No, no, no. Mommy, wrestle with us. No. And every time we say no, if it's for a health thing that we could fix, there's a whole list of things we could be teaching them, especially our daughters. What do we want for our daughters? Do we want them to go through what we've gone through? Do we want them to not know all the things we didn't know? No. I mean, if we could teach this to our daughters and help them avoid what we've gone through so that they can be strong moms, we would do it in a heartbeat. So why don't we do it for ourselves? Right? We need to model it, mamas. And women, if you have not had kids and you're watching this, okay, maybe you're never going to have kids, but your core is falling apart for whatever reason. It's not really a sacrifice. It's not something that's like, oh, my broken belly is doing the world a lot of good. No, it's not, because think of all the things you could be doing. And that's why our mission statement for Fit2B is changing lives one tummy at a time with your tummy, so that you can be stronger for your family and your community and your world. It's not about the bikini. And you can keep the stretch marks. Okay, I love the marks of motherhood. Keep those. You might have a little extra skin. I got some extra skin. Look, I'll show you. See, look at this. See? Okay. I'm fine with that. But I want my core to be strong. I don't want to be peeing my pants when I jump on the trampoline with my kids. I don't want to have to say no to my husband and to friends and to volunteering to sandbag things when there's a flood. Okay? I want to be the first one in line saying, hey, yeah, I'm there. I can do this. I'm strong. I'll pack boxes. I'll load canned food for the food bank because I'm strong enough to do that, right? Okay, another rant. Okay, I'm going to take one more question. Christine, I just answered. I think you guys will be able to watch this again later. I hope. It'll probably be on YouTube. I've got to figure all that out. So keep checking back to the page and I'll try to post things. Okay, if you end up having arch pain while walking barefoot and you've been in barefoot minimalist shoes for 6 months, what can be done to help strengthen your gait or alignment? I'm going to refer you out to Katie's book. She has a book. If you go to katiesays.com, KATYSAYS.com, she's got a lot of great books, and one of them is Every Woman's Guide to Foot Pain Relief, and it's also on Amazon by Katie Bowman. Just look up her books. And it's a very, very simple book to read. Kelly sells them in her office through the Tummy Team. And it has stretches for the feet, exercises to strengthen the feet, and it also has stretches for the hamstrings and the rest of the legs. And because you're right, if you're having arch pain, it's not that you need to support that arch, you need to train the arch. It's a really similar concept of splinting. Basically, shoes that have tons of support in them are orthotics themselves. They are a type of splint, a support. And if we don't do something to strengthen those areas, our foot is just going to get more dependent on those supports. Does that make sense? Carrie Ann says, I catch myself now saying to myself, shoulders and ribs align, exhale and engage, elevator up, pelvis neutral, and I'm feeling pretty good. Am I missing anything? Is there a next thing to add in or check? It's been fun as I progress and my list grows longer. There is a little poem that's on the Align It Flat page. At least there used to be. I think it's still there. I put it in the neck, 14 Days to a Better Neck course, where it's like giraffe neck, open pecs. You know, it talks about the ribs over hips. There's all these little jingles. So look on that page, but you're going to pick up on little things as you keep doing our workouts. The only thing that you didn't say, I think would probably be the neck. You know, bringing head back, chin down is another good one if you wanted to start working on another one. You know, we tend to kind of chicken neck, and you know, we sit like this and we look at things, and bringing your head back and then dropping your chin. And yes, it gives you that nice double chin, which is why a lot of people don't do that, because it's not very flattering. You're like, oh, I lift my head up because I don't want my double chin. It looks so much better. But am I aligned here? No, I'm not. And it's actually putting a lot of extra strain on the back of my head. So it's like bringing your head back and dropping your chin, okay? And as you do that, those muscles are going to get stronger, and some of that little chin's going to go away. So that's one to work on. That is one I feel like I'm going to be working on that the rest of my life, because I'm in front of a computer, and so I'm often like this. I'm looking at things, and if I turn sideways, now you can see, oh, bad alignment. So a lot of times, 4,292 times a day probably, I'm like, I'll just do this. And I go back, and then I do this. And then I go back, and I do this. And it's getting less and less. But, you know, it's a journey. It's a journey. And I need to set up a workstation that's better. I move around my house a lot. That's one thing I do. I change positions, put my laptop in different places where I can be better aligned. I can be in different positions. Because we don't want